Yeah, dog. Thomas G here once again with another cryptocurrency video for you guys. Welcome to the channel. Don't forget to smash that like button, drop a comment, and always remember, I'm not a financial advisor. For damn sure not a professional. This is cryptocurrency. Don't ever allow an influencer on any social media platform out there to influence you when it comes to crypto, because you could lose it all. And shout out to DexFi. Go to dexfi.com/bonds. The link will be in the description, where you can go over on Base. They've already paid over $61,000 in passive income in USDC. I think earlier I checked, it's about 84.5% APR. You mint with your Ethereum on Base. Click the link in the description. Start earning passive income with their treasury bond investment strategies. Again, dexfi.com/bonds. The link will be in the description. The official sponsor of R2R live streams and video content. Now, I'm going to talk about HEX, PHEX, right? EHEX, PHEX, both of them hitting 100x in the near future, okay? Now, the thing about cryptocurrencies and cycles, right, is when the price is up, everyone's happy. And then there's people who FUD. Price goes down, people are angry. More and more FUD. Okay, which creates more opportunities for people that buy the dips and product market fit opportunities, cryptocurrencies that have been blue chips and holding strong for a long time. Now, when it comes to like Bitcoin and Ethereum and any like top 5 crypto, they've had their ups and downs, especially when Bitcoin went to 20,000 and dropped to 3,000. Everybody was saying that we just get scammed. It was all over YouTube. It was all over the news. It was everywhere. People were like, how does something go from 20,000 down to 3,000? A lot of people got wrecked. A lot of people lost a lot of money who bought the top. Now, if they had held, you know the story down the road. But it's hard to forecast and think positive and have positive sentiment for the future when you're down that fast from buying a top. Now, EHEX, the original HEX, in my opinion, an easy 100x from here. Let's just clock it at around 2 zeros and a 2. We'll say that's where it's at right now. Earlier, PHEX was about 2 zeros and a 6, on its way to 2 zeros and a 7, and between 2 zeros and a 6, and between 2 zeros and a 7. Okay, let's clock it in there. 100x for EHEX would be 20 cents. 100x for PHEX would be roughly 60 to 70 cents, which is nothing in the environment that it's in now. The famous 10,000x that happened for the original HEX back when it started in December of 2019 was a low market cap environment, not only for Ethereum and DeFi, but it was extremely small market cap and low liquidity for Ethereum HEX. And it had Richard Hart, who seemed to figure out a way, right, that people called out recycling ETH, that speculated he did that, speculated that he pumped the price. In addition to that, there were buyers. How many new users were there? A lot. How many were unique wallets and not the same people? A lot. Versus those that had 100 wallets. There was a lot of that going on, right? And the OA address was known for owning, 80% of the supply? So supply control was there. Low liquidity environment. And we have that same aspect and those same features with not only Pulse and PulseX, but we also have that with the OA owning still a large lion's share of the positions in tokens when it comes to Ethereum, HEX, and HEX. And it just staked in the recent past few months a truckload, all right, for long-term 5 stakes, 5 year, 10 years, different, you can go back and check the blockchain, different time frames, long-term stake, taking it out of circulation, basically burns the tokens until you get your payout later down the road, delayed gratification. And in this environment that we're in now, I believe we're at the bottoms, low liquidity. 100x is not far-fetched. It's not crazy. People will be out there and say 10,000x. 10,000x. Okay, great. it happened. Will it happen again? I'm more rooting on the side of the user that's going to say 100x easy. Now, are we all going to catch the 100x? No, we're not. If that's the top at 20 cents for Ethereum hex and the top for PulseChain hex is 60 to 70 cents, we're not all going to catch it. So that's where you got to, determine like, hey, when this thing hits 10 cents, which is a 50x, should I take profits now? Me? I probably will, knowing that when it does touch that top, it happens in a New York minute, okay? But going beyond that price point for EHEX, the only way I see EHEX going above its previous all-time high, if there is a parity back between, or the parity happens between EHEX and PHEX. If that happens and they reach the same price and reach a parity, then they could both go to the 60, 70 cent mark together, and EHEX will go surpass its all-time high, which cryptocurrencies do that. In their cycles, they go down 90, 95%. We've seen Bitcoin do that. We've seen Ethereum happen, and they reach new all-time highs in the next cycle. Hex had many 90 to 75 to 50% drops on the way up during its 10,000x journey, okay? But I imagine that if there is no parity, 100x, you'll see that happen with about the 20 cent range. They reach parity and they go off together and they reach new all-time highs together past the OG hex, Ethereum hex, 50, 55 cent mark, and go to 75 cents to $1. That's still not a lot of capital that would be needed in this low liquidity market. And if we do have a parabolic bull market overall, everything does still depend on Bitcoin. Is it done, or is it going to go to 150, 200,000, 250,000? So even if it doesn't happen in the current cycle, whatever it is that's going on, and it reaches that maybe 3-4 years down the road, if you hold your assets, which Hex has been around for 5 years plus, right? We're now noticing, and it's going to be 6 years old coming up soon at the end of the year, we're noticing that, in my opinion, that EHEX and PHEX have to be the one that drives traffic to PulseChain, because Pulse, anything that got sacrificed for, which is Pulse and PulseX, even the incentive token, right? None of those three got more FUD and more hate combined than the original Hex did. Influencers, of high magnitude volumes of subscribers and influencers of high rankings and respected in the Bitcoin community, the Ethereum community, crypto just as a whole, hated Richard Hart, called him a scammer. So nothing collectively got as much hate as Hex did, and he was determined to boost that spotlight. So those people are aware of it, right? Going on 5.5 years, almost 6 years. I think it's going to be the driving force in the entire ecosystem, the success that Hex and EHEX will have together, and what's to come in the future. I think that's going to be set off 100x, right? Sets off 100x. Maybe PulseX will be at a 2 to 3x sack price, but the new money that'll come in, that'll take notice to PulseChain and all the assets on there, are going to be interested because they have seen that Hex has been around going on 6 years by the time this time frame takes place, and we see these 100x gains. Then they're going to see, oh my God, Richard Hart, he's the founder, he's the creator. Maybe they've known about it, maybe they never have, heard of PulseChain. But Hex is going to be the onboarding tool that I think Richard Hart could use in its position with the low liquidity and the OA owning the supply, staking a ton recently. There's a lot of moving parts here that give me the indication that Hex is going to take off and go parabolic. New money is going to go in and send Pulse and PulseX to new levels, Inc. And then the altcoins will have a big boom on PulseChain. But it's down the road. You have to see a sequence of events take place. Things have to happen. Now, if Richard Hart starts live streaming, I think July 7th is the big, hey, something spectacular is going to happen. PDI pegging, all that. Listen, if you like PDI and you think it's going to peg, congratulations, good to you. I will give you all the attention in the world, positive, never negative, and say, hey, bring your mom, bring your dad, bring your friends and family on the PulseChain. Sell them on your narrative. It's going to hit $1. If it happens, man, then we know what could possibly happen to everything on chain. Then we're talking about thousands of X's across the board on many, not only core tokens, but altcoins. So I hope it happens, right? Speculate. We need that. However, the driving force, in my opinion, is going to be EHEX, PHEX, having success and just blowing up in the faces of the naysayers and the haters who have been dormant for a while now. No one really is like going hard on Hex like they were before. However, I see history is gonna repeat itself when Hex has its cycle and starts to go, on a boom and on a run. And then a mix of RH now tomorrow, July 7th, right? That's gonna be the SEC officially is not going to come back with anything whatsoever. It's going to be all said and done. And if you start streaming, regardless of being on a most wanted list, Interpol, for, Finland's most wanted, start streaming, that's going to give people confidence again, and it'll help sustain positive sentiment, right? I don't depend on Richard Hart. I don't want to depend on him, but him as a founder, during the entirety of Hex, going through the ups and downs, all the pumps, all the dips, the 10,000X, he was there streaming, and it was exciting. And all you had to do was click of a button, you hear his voice, you see his face, and it built confidence. So hopefully that returns. I think it'll be good for when we go on a run. And 100X for EHEX, 100X for PulseX, Hex, not a problem. That's easy. That's not a lot of capital is going to be needed for that, okay? And beyond that, it's going to determine a lot of additional factors. It is possible, right? And I think 100X is not something that Richard is going to be like, hey, we want 100X from these two assets. I think he wants 100X, PulseX, and everything. And even beyond that point, 250 to a 500X would be a huge accomplishment. And it can be done. It's going to take time and effort on not only the community, but also his part, because I know for a fact that he helped that price appreciation with the 10,000X with Hex. It was loud and clear. However, there's going to be a time where you're looking back and you go, man, I could have bought cheap. Even if it just does a 10, 15, 20X, I could have bought it for cheap, which those are just going to be, I think, very easy targets in the near future. Don't forget to pound the like button, drop a comment. Till next time. Yeah, dog.